So, all right. What y'all come up with? What you come up with? All right. What do coaches need to do to be effective? All right, coaches. What do coaches need to do to be effective? Who wants to go first? Y'all get to go first. I actually heard y'all talking, so I'm curious what y'all came up with.
Reach the employee.
Huh?
You need to reach the employee on a personal level.
Reach the employee. That's what coaches need to do to be effective. Reach the employee.
No, reach the employee and see things from their point of view.
See things from their point of view, yes.
Help identify their objectives.
You're helping to identify their objectives as a coach. Okay, yeah. What else?
I said, listen.
Listening. All right, you took that one. Everybody probably had that on their list. So, go ahead. What else?
Patience.
Patience. There you go. Yes.
Build their trust.
Build their trust. Definitely.
Encouraging.
Encourage them. Yes. There's nothing wrong with being positive and helping them to feel good and encourage them to do the things that they are trying to do. What else?
Ask open questions.
Ask open questions as opposed to
Closed
questions, which are
yes and no.
yes and no's. Exactly.
Right.
All right, what did y'all find? What y'all come up with?
All the same.
And?
Clearly we're coached by the same groups.
And?
We're good, we're ready to go home.
Yeah, we talked about
Well, I know y'all ready to go home.
we talked about a couple things that might be more mentoring. We weren't sure. Kind of striking the balance between providing feedback with letting them discover something on their own. And we also talked about kind of like a role playing or scenarios, kind of like what we've done in class, but that could be a good way to sort of get them to think about things.
Yeah, all of that is also under the coaching umbrella. So yes, you could see it as mentoring, but role playing happens in coaching sessions, right? Because you're trying to bring certain things out of them, and sometimes a role play scenario is the best way to do that. What about you guys? What did y'all come up with?
Sorry, y'all know by now I live in the exact world. So we created categories. One is professionalism, two is prompts and tools, three is communication, and four is motivation. Under professionalism, we had listening, we had setting the environment, and we had a tentative posture. Under prompts and tools...
Wait. Say it again about the posture.
A tentative posture.
What do you mean?
Like, I can't stand when I walk into an office to talk to somebody and I got some dude like sitting behind his desk like this.
Got it.
Like, am I wasting your time? Like, I can leave.
Right.
Anyway.
Kind of like I be talking to y'all and y'all don't look at me when y'all talking to me, and I'm talking to y'all, and you're doing Sudoku and, and crossword puzzles. John back there, buying something off of Amazon. So I get it. Go ahead.
Right. So under prompts and tools, we had using relevant examples, not being on your soapbox with your own self, like going down a tangent down a road. Helping to see the blind spots for the employee and positing.
What do you mean helping to see the blind spots?
Basically meaning that if we're trying to at least help them see the target, but we're allowing them to go and they're not realizing that there's something probably in the way, and we may see it but they don't. We're trying to help them come to their blind spot.
Got it.
Not telling
You're
them.
navigating
Yeah.
in a direction that they'll discover the blind spot.
Yes.
As opposed to you holding it up and saying, this is the blind spot. You're now going to have to help them to just, okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, and then just positing open-ended questions. Under communication, we had coachee-led, using understanding and tone.
Oh, big one.
And then four for motivation, actually enjoying coaching, and showing enthusiasm that you're there for them, that you're glad they're talking to you and you want to help.
Well said. You are an effective coach. You are an effective coach. I like that. Anyone else? Did you have anything else y'all want to add? All right. Y'all heard what John said, right? John ready to go. Are we there yet, Coach? Are we there yet, Coach? All right. So we'll keep it moving. Anytime coaching model. So this model is in your book, and this is a good model because you can coach at any time. Anytime coaching model. This is something that you can do on the elevator, when you're walking, on the phone, in a meeting, somebody just walked into your office, etc., anytime. Practice of observing. You'll notice each one of these says the practice of. The practice of. Coaching is a practice. When you are a professional coach, just like you are a professional in anything, like a doctor or whatnot, when you're dealing with people, it's a practice. So you are practicing your craft. Part of your craft is observing. You're practicing observing. And there are many ways to observe. But this is a practice. And then, of course, you're practicing listening. There are so many ways to listen. We talked about that. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. And then inquiring. So you observe, you listen, you inquire, and then you respond. These are the 4 elements that make up coaching. So, 3 levels of observing. You're going to observe yourself and others, and of course the impact on others. Observing your impact on others is a big deal. So you're not just observing your coachee, you're not just observing yourself, but you're observing the impact. This is hard. This is real hard, and this is where so many people need to practice. Yeah, let's put it that way. You need to practice. So, when you're observing your coachee, what do you think you're looking for? What are you observing? Anyone going to give me some hints? What are you observing?
I'm looking at the posture, like she was saying, to see if he's actually paying attention to what I'm saying to him.
Yeah, big deal.
But you're also looking to see how your words land.
That's the impact. That's the impact piece. Yes. You're seeing how you. So how do you see how your words land?
Are they shifting in the chair? Have they started crossing their arms while they're listening to you? You know, what is their facial expression looking at? Have they shifted in the chair and changed their seating style? And are they no longer leaning into the conversation?
Perfect.
Have they checked out of the conversation?
Yes, but so 2 things. One, exactly what you were saying, but when you say have they checked out of the conversation, right, that is a clue that you're looking for, but how do you know they checked out of the conversation? You can't just say have they checked out. You got to know did they or didn't they, and what are you looking for, right?
If you decide they checked out of the conversation, you have to bring them back
Yeah, you
into
have to bring
the
them back in.
conversation if
You have to
wanting to
pick up
continue
on
the
that.
conversation.
Yes, this is that matrix, this is that magic, this is that, you know, what do you call it, that secret sauce that you have. This is experience. So the observation piece is huge. It's huge. Are you even able to observe everything that you need to observe with a coachee, with your employee, with personnel? Most people are not able to do that well. Most people can't even do it at a level of 20%.
But you also have to be aware of your body language and your delivery. I mean, have you now shifted in the chair so they've shifted? So it's important to know where you were when you had them leaning into you. You need to get back to where you were when you had them leaning into you. It's your responsibility to pull them back into the conversation.
It is, again, observing yourself. Most people don't observe themselves, not even 5% of the time. So if you're not even observing yourself 5% of the time, that means 95% of the time you are unaware that you're unaware, and you are in a coaching session, and to your point, they're doing certain things, you're not aware that you actually caused that to occur. If I started coaching you, and I'm coaching you, and I'm getting closer, and this is having an impact. Are you aware of that? You ever have a conversation with people and they want to touch you? They want to touch you. You know, they want to put their hand on your shoulder or on, you know, here. You know, I know several people. A couple of them are tall, right? They're like 6'3", 6'5", and when they talk to people, because I'm a coach, I'm always observing all the time. They always talk to people with their hand on them, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna wait till he does that to me. And he did. He came up to me, put his hand on me, and I stared at his hand. And then he took it off, as if he did something wrong. I mean, I did something wrong. Dude, I didn't give you permission to touch me. And you're touching everybody. You think you have carte blanche to just go touch people and put your hand on people? If it's a thing? Remember, there's 16 types of people in Myers-Briggs. Some don't want to be touched. So when you do that, are you observing your behavior, and are you observing their behavior? I made sure you observed my behavior. In other words, you gonna get this hand off me? Because, you know, next thing is that little jujitsu move, right? You shouldn't have done that. And so the point is, he wasn't even aware. And I did pull him to the side. I said, you know, I've been watching you for about 9 months. And tonight, you just touched over 10 people. You just did it to that person, to her, to him. And he didn't even know he did it. I'm like, so, and then I said, so what do you think the impact on them was? What do you think the impact of you touching all of these people and putting your hand on these people? What were you communicating? Oh, I didn't know. Again, that 95%, he didn't know. Well, I've seen him since then, and he does not put his hand on me. And if I'm in the room, I think he's conscious that I'm watching him. But yes, so observation of others, observation of self, observation of your impact on others. Each one of you in the room, are you aware of what you have been doing all week long? Are you aware of what everybody else has been doing all week long? Are you aware of your impact on me, on others, of the things that you have been doing? And were you intentional, and did you achieve your objective? Because the impact was exactly what you wanted to happen. Or were you just, you know, you didn't have a license to drive and you were careless and you were just crashing all over the place because you just felt like pedal to the metal. I'm driving. Oh, I gotta look where I'm going. I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to hit you. Oops. That's what you do if you don't know what you're doing in a coaching session. You are communicating always. But as we said, message sender, receiver, feedback. Is it being received the way you intended for it to be received? And so, observation, you're observing the nonverbals. You're observing to Ramon's point, the actions, the body language, the somatics. And when you are observing, you're listening with your eyes. Remember earlier I said you listen with your eyes, you hear with your ears. I'm sorry, you listen with your eyes and you see with your ears. This is where that shows up in that observation. This is huge. I'm spending a lot of time on this because this is where coaching really lives. Coaching lives in the observation. Because if you miss it, if you didn't hear it, if you didn't perceive it, if you didn't understand what Mark said, you didn't pick up what they were putting down, then what are you doing? You're not coaching. You may think you're coaching, and the person may believe that they're being coached. Ain't happening. I could sit and watch and observe a camera or a Zoom session and say, that wasn't coaching, that wasn't coaching, that wasn't. What were you doing? You didn't even know what you were doing. You were screaming at them. No, I wasn't right. Yes, you are. Why do you think they just shut up and did like that? Oh, I didn't notice that. Exactly. It is that impact that's important. The impact. What is your impact on what you're saying? And do you know what the impact should be or may be before you do it or express it or show it? And then, does your intent meet the outcome? Is the impact what you wanted it to be? And it may be more than just one. It may be more than you and others. Maybe you walk into a room of 400 people. Are you able to see the room, read the room? You ever heard the term read the tea leaves? That's what this is. All right, any questions, concerns, or comments on this one? This is very important. Observation at 3 levels. There may be more than 3 levels, right? That third eye. Can you see behind you? In a coaching session, this is huge. Listening. Each one of y'all said listening. To convey that you are listening intently. Are you listening? Do they know that you're listening? Do they feel like they're being heard? Do they feel like you are present? And this is what I think you were talking about, right? Attentive. So maintain eye contact. No, we're not in a coaching session. But if you're not maintaining eye contact and you're talking to somebody, then that's not listening. Yes, I'm listening. No, you're not. You're not present. You're not there. You say you're there. I say you're not. And therefore, who's right? If you think you are there and you're present and you're not making eye contact with the coachee, and they think you're not there and you're not listening, who's right? They are. They are. And if you still think you're right, then that means you don't care. And remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you don't care, they check out, coaching sessions over. You might as well not even talk anymore because they're not listening to you now. And now you're not coaching. So listening is important. Ask meaningful questions. Anybody want to give me an example of a meaningful question?
What are you trying to achieve?
Exactly. Very good question. Very good question. What are you trying to achieve? Because now they have to think, they have to process, they have to say, all right, what am I trying to achieve? And then that whole somatic thing goes into place, right? What's somatic? The Socratic method. Socrates. And they're going to answer that question in a roundabout way because maybe they got to think through it while they're doing it. But that is a very good question. Very meaningful question. Anyone else? Give me a meaningful question.
How did that make you feel?
Well, how did that make you feel shows up so often in therapy, right? It's almost one of those catch-all questions. It is meaningful, but it's too easy, right? It's not always as specific to the person, to the thing that you're trying to do, unless it is. And the reason why I say it is meaningful, but you got to be careful with that. You don't want to say, how does that make you feel every single time? So now the coachee thinks, all right, they're going to ask me, I know, how does that make me feel, right? So you use it sparingly, and you use it when it's appropriate, but you don't use it because you can't come up with nothing else. Yes?
That's actually a question I never answered. I always just want to know why is it relevant? That's just the question that I always answer when I.
Well, it is relevant in many cases, but it has to be used when most appropriate. A lot of people misuse it, overuse it, just say it, and you're thinking like you said, why is it relevant? Because prior to you asking that question, did the conversation go in an area that all of a sudden you started crying, right? Or you got flushed, or you went quiet. I've had some clients, that just had some emotional moments, and I'm watching it, and I don't want to be wrong in my assessment of what's going on in these feelings because we said some heavy stuff. And now I'm thinking, so I just noticed you got red, or you started crying, or you went quiet for about a minute. Can you tell me anything that's going on inside of you right now? I'm almost cautious not to say, how did that make you feel? Because as a coach, I'm thinking, that's such an amateur move. I don't want to say that. So I'm going to come up with something a lot more creative to find out how that person's feeling without me saying, how does that make you feel? Does that make sense? Because you got to dig deep now. You have to have been really listening and listening with your eyes to that person so that you don't say, how does that make you feel? Kind of like the example you gave of your employee. Came to work, you saw something. And at that point, you were coaching. And so if she says something and you say, how does that make you feel? Oh, you've just insulted the moment. So like I said, it is a meaningful question, but it needs to be used when most appropriate and not overused. Also, since we're there, you ever are in environments where you ask a question or someone asks a question, then the moderator or somebody say, that's a good question. That's a good question, Reggie. That's a good question. I think I'll answer that. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good question. So in those environments, I'll sit there with, my little napkin and ink pen. Like, how many times are they gonna say, that's a good question? I know it's a good question. I wouldn't have asked them if it wasn't a good question. So we don't have to do that dance. Answer the question. Same thing with, how does that make you feel? You see how I'm feeling. I feel bad. How does that make me feel? Don't say that again, Reggie. I'm up here crying now. That's how it makes me feel. So be careful. Any other meaningful questions? All right. Summarize or restate what you heard. You don't want to get it wrong. I believe yesterday, we talked about mirroring. Okay, that's one way. Then summarize. So a person may go all around the mulberry bush and take 5 minutes to say something that maybe you think they should have taken 30 seconds. But you still have to extract the meaningful information from that, and you need to get it right. So what you do is you summarize what they said. You say what they just took 5 minutes to say, you say it in 5 seconds. But you summarize it because you're now going to go down the path of that information. You want to make sure you got it right. It's their information. You don't want to put your words in their mouth. You don't want to create new stuff and say, this is what I really think you're thinking about. No, they said what they're thinking about. So therefore, summarize what they said by saying it back to them so that you're both on the same page, that you continue to go down the direction that they want to go. They are leading the dance. If you take all of the information they said and you create something totally new that you want to talk about in their session, now who's leading the dance? You are. You're no longer coaching. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's not coaching. Okay? So, summarize or restate what you heard. Acknowledge feelings behind the words. I saw that, John. Acknowledge feelings behind the words. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to always say, how does that make you feel? Because they told you how it made them feel if you were listening with your eyes. Often you saw how it made them feel, or you missed how it made them feel, and then you're going to say, how does that make you feel? Weren't you listening? I told you how it makes me feel. No, you didn't tell me how. Yes, I'll just boo-hoo for 17 seconds. You handed me a box of tissue. I wipe my eyes, and you're going to ask me, how does it make me feel? Right? And so, acknowledge. Acknowledge. Look, you're a Marine, I get it. You're like, there's no crying in baseball. I'm talking about crying. You're like, Reggie, this is exactly. All right, I get it. There are 16 types of people in Myers-Briggs. You and I are one of them. But acknowledge the feelings, acknowledge them, acknowledge their experience, acknowledge their presence, acknowledge what they're telling you. Let them know that they have been heard. Let them know that they have been seen. Let them know that the impact of this experience is relevant. Acknowledge that. And stop all other activities that may distract. Have any of you been doing any distracting activities in the past week while we were in class?
No.
No. Good answer. All right. And so when you are coaching, and you're in that coaching, remember I said present? If you have things that are distracting, if you have other activities going on, then you're not present. Even though you think you are, no, you are operating in that 95% unconscious mode, unconscious, and therefore, no, you're not present. And they see that you're not present. They see that you're distracted. But unlike you saying, how does that make you feel? They're not going to say to you, you seem to be distracted. Coach, can we center ourselves? Do we need to take a moment and breathe 5 times? All right. Speaking of which, I'm going to show y'all that right now. I want everybody to stop what you're doing. Place your hand either on the table or on your lap, or you can stand up. Whatever you want to do. All right. So you can stand up. You can place your table, but get comfortable. All right. And what you're going to do is breathe. We're going to center ourselves. Just a technique. All right. They're like, what the heck, Reggie, going crazy? Yes, I am. So I want you to close your eyes. Just breathe normally. And now I want you to take a deep breath through your nose. Hold it to a count of 4. Let it out through your abdomen, your diaphragm. Press it all the way out from your belly button. Take another deep breath in your nose. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. One more. Take a deep breath in. Keep your eyes closed. Let it out. Just stay there for a moment. See if you can feel your fingertips. Take your thumb and put it on one of your fingers and see if you can feel the ridges between your fingers. You have a thumbprint, you have a fingerprint, see if you can feel the prints. Now, just hold it there, motionless. And now let your thumb and your finger let go slowly. And you feel that separation. Open your eyes when you're ready and come back to class. That's just one centering technique. There are many. That one didn't take long. And sometimes when you are distracted or your client or coachee, I said client, sorry about that, y'all know, shows up and they're distracted or they're anxious or just so much going on and you just need to be present, both of you. That's the one centering technique. And then you can begin, right? Right there. So stop all other activities that may distract. That's one activity that can help stop all activities. Now swimmers, they'll hold the breath for, she's like, Reggie, only 4 seconds. Really? 4 seconds? Come on now. All right. Inquiring. This is also very